The trade deadline is concluded, so it's time to give my grades for each team in the American League. Welcome back to Good Sports for You, where we are talking about good sports for you. And like I said, I'm going to be giving a letter grade for each team in the American League based on how I think their trade deadline went and my opinions on their direction of the team. Want to get that out there because I have a couple that may upset some people. I'm actually going to start in the American League West this time, but before we do, I want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe. And before we hop into it, this is my second time recording this video. The last time it went on for way too long. So just so you know, I'm going to be going over a couple of the key traits for each team and then giving my overall letter grade and then why I gave that grade. So first off, we have the Los Angeles Angels. I'm starting them off with an A-. I loved their trade deadline. They went on a fire sale. They got rid of Logan O'Hoppe and Chase Silseth in their first major deal, and in exchange from the Rangers, they got a prospect who's now their 28th ranked prospect, and according to the Angels, they really, really like this prospect. They were like, he should be way higher. And then they also traded Brett Suter, who was on an expiring deal, to the Braves in exchange for Nacho Alvarez Jr. And then they also traded Kirby Yates, also on an expiring contract, for an unranked prospect. They traded Ryan Zefferjon to the Cubs for Moises Ballesteros, and also Mason McGuire, who's the son of Mark McGuire, who's now their 15th ranked prospect. They traded Joe Adell to the Guardians for a catching prospect, who's now their 19th ranked prospect. And they traded Jose Soriano. This was their big time move. Jose Soriano is not on an expiring deal, same with Joe Adell. Joe Adell has an extra year. But Jose Soriano has a lot more years on his contract, and they were able to get a lot in exchange from the Blue Jays. They were able to get Arjun Nimmala, who's now their second-ranked prospect and the 43rd ranked prospect in all of baseball, and they were also able to get a couple of other unranked prospects. I really, really like their trade deadline. They finally agreed to just sell. My only thing is, maybe they could have traded Reed Detmers. That's really my only complaint. I don't think that he fits the timeline. That's what's preventing them from being an A or even an A+. But aside from that, this was, in my opinion, a flawless deadline. You completely restacked your farming system. They only had like one top 100 prospect before that. You were able to get another top 100 prospect. You were able to add, what is that, like 3 or 4 top 30 prospects into your system. And in exchange, you gave up a bunch of pieces that didn't fit your timeline. You held on to Zach Neto, who will be a key piece later down the line. Obviously, you hung on to Mike Trout because that's what you needed to do. But as a whole, I love what they did during the deadline. Our next team is going to be the Houston Astros. I'm giving them a C-. They only had one trade. They traded Spencer Arrighetti in exchange for Dalton Varsho. My biggest thing is that they needed starting pitching. They addressed one need in their outfield by making one need worse. I wish that they traded for a starter. That's why it's low. But I do like the deal of getting Dalton Varsho. He can be a good bat, and he's a very good defender. So it's definitely helping the team now. Spencer Arrighetti obviously has a ton of team control, and Dalton Varsho's on an expiring contract. So I like the deal that they made in a vacuum. But as a whole, looking at it, I'm like, C-, maybe even a D+, quite frankly, because I'm like, you needed starters and you didn't get any. Next up, we have the Athletics. I'm giving them a D+ because they basically didn't do a whole lot of anything. They made a couple of moves here or there basically for cash, essentially. And then they also got a right-handed pitcher who has a ton of team control but has a 7.18 ERA in exchange for Colby Thomas. I wish that they just did something, whatever it may have been, trading Jeff McNeil to get a younger player, trading maybe to get some pitching, whatever it may have been. I wouldn't have been a fan of cashing in prospects. The one thing that I will say is a positive for them is they didn't get rid of any of their key pieces. Shea Langeliers was hurt, so nobody really wanted him. But you held on to Nick Kurtz, you held on to Jacob Wilson, you held on to Soderstrom. Like, all those guys you held on to, but I'm like, just do something, move in a direction. That's one of my biggest complaints for some teams, is just not picking a direction. That's, I think, the worst thing that you could do at a trade deadline. Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners. I'm giving them a C. It was a weird trade deadline for them. The biggest move that they did was they traded Luis Castillo to the White Sox in exchange for some big-time pieces. They got Sir Anthony Dominguez. The Mariners needed help in their bullpen, quite frankly, and you were able to get a relief piece in exchange for a starter who you didn't really need. Obviously, we know that the Mariners have so many starters. They got Brian Wu, they got George Kirby, they got Emerson Hancock, they got Logan Gilbert. Like, they have starters, and then they have Bryce Miller. That's 5 starters right there. Luis Castillo is having a poor season. They were able to offload him, and in exchange, they were able to get Sir Anthony Dominguez, who's a quality reliever. He's a good pitcher. He's still under one more year of team control. So if you're like, if this isn't our year, we still got him for next year. They also were able to add Nolan Jones, who, he was good like a couple seasons ago, but he's back in the minors. He's 28 years old. Maybe he'll get some reps for you if somebody gets hurt, but aside from that, he just seems like a throw-in. But honestly, They got Boston Smith, and I'm not going to talk about prospects a lot. I really like this prospect, and I don't know anything a ton about like prospects. All I'm saying is he's got a 1 dot in AA right now as a 23-year-old, and he's a catcher outfielder who plays a ton of different positions. I love that deal. Like, call me crazy. I really like the prospect that they got in return. So like I said, they got a need that fills a gap right now. And also by trading something that was surplus, and also you got a really good prospect in return. And then the other move that they did is they got Taylor Ward. This one was a little bit more intriguing to me. They gave up a bunch of guys who are basically unranked prospects or very young rookies to the Baltimore Orioles. Taylor Ward just didn't seem to fit right now. It feels like you already got your guys. I mean, yes, he's going to be another bat. And at the end of the day, a bat is a bat. You just got a lot of bats right now. I know they DFA'd now Rob Refsnyder, so it like all makes sense to me. And at the end of the day, the team got better. So I'm not upset with anything that they did, but I'm just confused, quite frankly, hence why they got a C. But honestly, like, I like it as a whole. The Taylor Ward trade kind of confused me. The Luis Castillo trade, I do like. Next up, we have the Texas Rangers. I'm giving them a D-. Yes, they had the Logan O'Hoppe and Chase Silseth trade, which we've already talked about. And then they also got Adam Macko in exchange for Josh Smith and an unranked prospect from the Blue Jays. I don't know what to say. Like, again, this is a team that didn't pick a direction to go. You didn't really buy. You didn't really sell. You got rid of Josh Smith, okay, and you added a reliever. I don't like it, and I know that they were in talks about like Jacob deGrom, and he wasn't willing to waive his no trade clause, which I get. So there wasn't a lot they could have done, but I'm just like, make some upgrades or sell, and I feel that they should have been in the position to buy, and they didn't do that at all. They just kind of stood still, which I really, really hate. Moving on to the AL Central, our first team is going to be the Cleveland Guardians. I'm giving them an A. I absolutely loved their trade deadline. The first move that they made was with my Milwaukee Brewers. This wasn't a major deal, but because it was with the Brewers, I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. I got Bo Naylor and Cody Hewer in exchange for Blake Perkins and Craig Yoho. Craig Yoho can definitely be a good piece in this bullpen. He put up innings for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he honestly did a really good job. I was really sad to see him go. And then Blake Perkins can definitely be a 4th or 5th outfielder for you. He's a good defender. He's speedy. He's just a depth piece that you need. You didn't give up a lot. The Brewers got rid of Cody Hewer basically the next day. So I like that move for them. And then a couple other moves that they did. They got Nathan Lowe from the Reds in exchange for an unranked prospect. Love that move for them as well because he's a first baseman who hits the ball. Even if he doesn't have the highest WAR, he hits. And their first base and DH position has been absolutely dreadful in just hitting the ball this season. So I love that move for them. They got Joe Adell to add even more power to the lineup that desperately needed it in exchange for a prospect who, like I said, is the 19th ranked prospect. And then they got Foster Griffin in exchange for one prospect who's in the Nationals top 30 system and then 3 more unranked prospects. I love the Foster Griffin move as well. Now you got a legit, like, 3-headed horse out there. You know, I don't know if that's the right term. 3-headed dragon, whatever it may be. You got Foster Griffin in your 3? You got Gavin Williams and Parker Messick? That is, when you're staring that down in the barrel in the playoffs, in a 3-game series, in a 5-game series, you're scared. And if you're the Guardians, you feel good. Like, that's a really, really good rotation. Foster Griffin has been phenomenal for the Nationals. Every single move that the Guardians made for this trade deadline, I have absolutely loved. I honestly wish that they even did a little bit more, maybe adding another bat, but like absolutely no complaints. They went above and beyond my expectations. They're honestly teetering on an A+ for me right now. Like, I may just give it to them. Like, I'm talking myself into it. I love their trade deadline. They saw that the American League was weak. They saw that they had a chance at the AL Central, and they said, hey, let's go for it while Jose Ramirez is still around and while we have this legit, like, 2 aces in the rotation. Gavin Williams is easily an ace. Parker Messick is an unreal pitcher this season, and then you go and add Foster Griffin? Come on, I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Next up, we have the Kansas City Royals. I'm not as disappointed in their or in their trade deadline as a lot of other people are. I'm giving them a C because they did what I expected them to do. I said in my preview, and I won't lie, I'm a little proud about this. I said that they would trade Lane Thomas, and I said that they would trade Chris Bubich. Those are the 2 expiring contracts that I was like, okay, let's highlight those. And they did. In exchange, they got a couple of prospects back. The one that I want to focus on, though, is going to be Lucas Braun. He's a 24-year-old in AAA with really good numbers, and he's the 11th ranked prospect in the Royals organization. That is the exact move that they needed to do in exchange for Lane Thomas. You got rid of the expiring contract, and you got a guy. He may not help you this year. He could definitely help you next year. He could be a 4 or 5 starter for you right now or next year for sure. So I really like that move. The Kris Bubic move, I'm a little bit upset about because I'm like, how did you not get more? You got a guy who's thrown in 0.1 innings in the MLB and not well. And he's 25 years old. So I'm like, I wish that you were able to get a little bit more for Bubic. I know that he's been hurt and he hasn't been fantastic. That was my only thing. I wish that they did a little bit more too. I would have liked to see Waka gone or Seth Lugo. Maybe get a bigger haul back in return. Maybe get another young, controllable piece. Definitely for sure. But at the end of the day, you got rid of expiring contracts and you were able to keep on your core pieces. I don't think there's much that you could ask for aside from that, but like I said, I would have liked to see a little bit more, maybe moving one of your bigger pitchers. Next up, we have the Detroit Tigers. I'm giving them a D+, and I'm not saying this just because Tarik Skubal went to the Brewers. I didn't go to the Brewers. You have to hear me out, okay? I don't agree with a lot of the moves. You got the Jake Rogers deal, which is like, okay, whatever. Casey Mize going to the Padres, I really like that deal. You got Casey Mize and Gage Workman, who's, basically a thrown at this point. To the Padres in exchange, you got Cash Mayfield, who's now the Tigers' 6th ranked prospect. And then you also got an unranked 27-year-old AAA prospect who has 5 innings in the MLB. I really like that move. You're able to get a very good starting pitching prospect in your system right now. And also you were able to get a very solid AAA pitcher who's thrown 5 innings in the big leagues. I like that move. You're able to get a decent haul for Casey Mize. I wish that he went to the Brewers. Next up, we got to talk about the Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers trade. You were able to get Zaire Hope, who's going to be a great prospect. 25 years old, 25th ranked prospect, 21 years old, who's raking in AA right now. Awesome. I'm going to skip over River Ryan for right now. You got Brady Smith, who's the Tigers' 15th ranked prospect, 21 years old in high A. And then you got River Ryan. I've thought about this a lot. I don't understand it. He's about to turn 28, like literally next week, and he's in AAA. He's a veteran prospect, is literally how I've heard him referred to as. His numbers aren't good in AAA. I don't understand how he's in the top 100. He's like number 68 right now, and he's the 5th ranked prospect in the Tigers organization. That makes zero sense to me. And I've heard people be like, well, the Dodgers are just so loaded. I've also heard that the Dodgers have had rotation issues this whole entire time. So if he was that good, that he was ready to be an MLB caliber pitcher, why was he not filling in the spot starts? That's really my only thing right now. And I understand that he was under a lot of control and everything like that. I get all that. I just feel that you could have gotten a little bit better of return. But if that was the only thing, if it was between Casey Mize and Tarik Skubal and Jake Rogers, I would have said, it's a C. My big issues are you kept Gleyber Torres, you kept Jack Flaherty, and kept Kenley Jansen. Why? If we're selling, sell. You just traded your 2 best pitchers. Troy Melton is a fantastic pitcher. He's going to be your 1 now. You just traded back-to-back Cy Young winners, and you traded an all-star caliber pitcher in Casey Mize. Why are you holding on to pieces? And I know he was like, well, we can still be competitive. The playoff scene is still open. I 100% get that. But you're not in the playoffs right now, so what makes you think that you're going to get in the playoffs now that you got significantly worse? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's why they're at a D+, mainly because they didn't commit to the sell. You didn't trade other expiring contracts that could have been valuable. Gleyber Torres has had a very good offensive season. Why not cash in on him right now? Next up, we have the Minnesota Twins. This is going to be my most controversial ranking. I'm giving them an F. I despise the direction that they went. They were able to go out and make some big trades for a buying team. AJ Minter in exchange for 2 prospects who are like about to be or close to being in the Mets top 30. Bruin Agbayani is in the Mets top 30. Billy Amick, I feel like, is right outside because I swear that he was in the Twins top 30. I think he was even ahead of Agbayani, so I don't understand how that works. Then you got Dean Kremer in exchange for a prospect who's the 23rd ranked prospect in the O's organization. He does have an extra year of control, though, which I do like. And then also you got Jeff Hoffman, who also has an extra year, which, like I said, I do like, from the Blue Jays in exchange for 3 prospects, 2 of whom are in the top 30 in the Blue Jays organization, another one who's unranked, and also international pool bonus money. I don't understand how you can look at this Twins team and say this is a team that's ready to go in. They're below 500. They're not good. The offense is not that good. Byron Buxton is hurt all the time. There are way too many issues on this team to say, let's go in and buy, when you could have traded Ryan Jeffers for a good haul. You could have traded Joe Ryan for probably an absurd haul. Why not cash in the chips? Because this is not the team that's going to do it. I don't even think that this team is going to make the playoffs. They're just there. They're not a good team. So that's the reason that I'm giving them an F. I know I said my biggest issue is when teams don't pick a direction. The Twins picked a direction and they picked the wrong one. It's just how I feel. It's like you're in a choose your own adventure and there's a question at the very beginning of the book or the game, whatever you're playing, and you just picked the wrong one. I just feel that they're going down the wrong path. They could have sold and they could have gotten a jump start on the rebuild or the retooling or whatever you want to call it, but they're not on that path. They're on a completely different path. That's why they're getting an F. I do not see the vision whatsoever. And then finally, we have the Chicago White Sox. I'm giving them a B because they kind of just did what I wanted them to do. They didn't do anything above and beyond. They didn't disappoint me in any way, shape, or form. You kept the core together. The moves that I do like under the radar is the Joey Bart trade over there. You get another backup catcher. They've struggled in the catching department. I know that Joey Bart isn't all that. They've struggled with injuries. They've struggled with rookies. He will provide just some stability. That's really all you can ask for right now in the catching position in the south side of Chicago. We have the Huascar Bransabon deal, which I love for them. He has a ton of team control. He's a good reliever, a 2.56 ERA this season. You did have to give up kind of a pretty penny. You gave up a prospect who's now the 20th ranked prospect in the Mets organization, and you gave up an unranked prospect, 27-year-old in AAA. I just think it's funny how a 27-year-old in AAA is unranked, but the 28-year-old in AAA is top 100. I don't know. I'm just saying it how I see it, right? But I really, really like that move for the White Sox. You're able to get a controllable piece while not giving up a lot. So I really, really like that move for them. And then obviously the Luis Castillo deal is the deal. And then also you got Brenton Doyle. Kind of gave up a lot for him too. They gave up two prospects, one of whom is the 19th ranked prospect in the Rockies organization, Mason Adams, 26 years old in AAA. He's a pitcher. Brenton Doyle, he'll just be another fourth outfielder for you. He's a good defender, doesn't hit very well, especially right now, but he has a lot of team control, so I like that. And then the Luis Castillo deal, yeah. You gave up kind of a lot, but you were able to work with what you got, and now you got another starter. So that's why I'm giving them a B. It's like, yeah, you made some moves here or there. You didn't do anything crazy. That's fine. That's what I wanted you to do. You didn't go out. You didn't blow me away or anything like that. You just did what you were supposed to do. Really like it. Moving on to the AL East, I'm going to start with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm giving them a B+. I really liked the deadline for them. I do have a couple of complaints, though. They got the Josh Smith deal from the Rangers, which is like whatever. They got Jameson Taillon. Like I said, they trade Jeff Hoffman, and in exchange, they got some good prospects. Like the deal for them. Spencer Urquidy move, expiring contract for Dalton Varsho, so I understand that for sure. Love the Jose Soriano move. You get a starter who has a ton of team control. You understand, hey, this isn't our year this year. He'll be ready next year. He'll be ready, I think, even the year after that. Really, really love the Jose Soriano move. You had to give up a lot, but totally worth it. And then also you traded Kevin Gausman in exchange for two prospects who are going to be in your top 20 prospects. Yeah, he was on an expiring contract. I get that. My one complaint that's holding them away from being in the A tier is they didn't trade George Springer. He was the final expiring contract that needed to go. Trade him for anything, quite frankly, even if it's a bag of chips or whatever it may be. Just find a team that's willing to take on some salary. You're able to save some money, whatever it may be, and maybe you get 16-year-old prospect who's still playing in the winter leagues over in the DR. Whatever it may be, it's better than nothing. That's my only real complaint because now you're losing George Springer for nothing. When I feel that any team or a lot of teams in playoff contention would have been like, hey, yeah, we can use him as a platoon bat for DH, and that would have been fine. So that's my only one real complaint. Next up, we're going to have the Baltimore Orioles. Weird trade deadline for them. I'm giving them a B-. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of big moves that we need to talk about aside from the one. Dean Kremer, like we said, we already talked about him. They were able to get a good controllable asset who's now their 23rd ranked prospect in their system. A couple other moves here or there. They got Cody Hewer from the Brewers for cash. I love how he didn't even pitch a single inning for us, and that's that. Next up, though, we got Tyler Wells, who's got an extra year on the deal. He's going to the Rays, and in exchange, you were able to get their 6th-ranked prospect, 22-year-old in AAA. Love that for them. Like I said, the Taylor Ward move, they were able to get a bunch of unranked prospects. I'm like, I kind of wish you got more. The Adley Rutschman deal, though, is the big one. I don't know how I feel about it. I've been on record a couple times to say that they should not have blown up the core. And I still feel that way, and I still feel that Adley was an important part of that core. You got a lot back in return, so that's why it's like not hurting me as much. But maybe it's just because I love a team that's like drafted together and worked their way up together. You know, you would have had a bunch of homegrown talents. And I know you got Carlos Narvaez in exchange, and he can fill in at catcher, and you got a bunch of very talented prospects, a bunch of guys who are going to be in your top 30 system, a couple of guys who are even in the MLB top 100. So I like that. I just wish that he was still there, and trading to a division rival just always kind of feels icky. So I'm not thrilled with it. I like some of the other moves that they made. I'm not very happy with the Adley Rutschman deal just because I really wanted them to stick together. But that just could be like personal bias of like the Brewers in like 2008 and 2011. It's like they came up together, like Prince, Braun, Ricky Weeks, Corey Hart, like all of them moved up together. And I like teams that are built that way. So I'm like, dang, Orioles, why couldn't you have done that? But I also get it. You got to haul for a guy who's kind of injury riddled. He's had his ups and downs. I mean, former number 1 overall pick, former top prospect. He's an absolute dog when he's healthy and when he's locked in. But like, he hasn't been for a bit. He's had his ups and downs, like I said. So it's like you saw a package that you couldn't give up and you did it. You pulled the trigger. I'm just not thrilled about it. Hence the B-. Next up, we have the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm giving them a B+. They went out and bought, and I absolutely love it. The two big moves that we have to talk about. Well, we already talked about the Tyler Wells deal. I really like that. Like I said, they got a good pitcher who's got a 2.67 ERA with an extra year of control. Absolutely love it, and you only had to give up one prospect. Freddie Peralta trade. I feel like you kind of gave up a lot. You had 3 players who are now in the top 20 prospects for the New York Mets in exchange for a pitcher who's a rental who's really struggled this season. But if there's any team that I trust to get the most out of Freddie, aside from the Brewers, it's the Tampa Bay Rays. If he's going to be your 5 starter, when Freddie's on, he is on, and he can be absolutely scary to see in the playoffs, even in the regular season. So I'm like, I kind of like the move. I just feel like you gave up a little lot. The next move that I absolutely love is getting Liam Hicks from the Miami Marlins. You gave up 3 prospects, all of whom are going to be in the top 30 for the Marlins, but I do not care. Liam Hicks has been phenomenal this season. One of the best hitting catchers in all of baseball. He's been really good, and also he has a ton of team control right now. The Rays struggled in the hitting department, specifically at catching. You just added a guy who rakes. I love that move for them. So that if it was just that move, I would have put them at like an A-. However, I think the overpay, I feel a little bit for Freddie, brings them down a little bit. Tyler Wells deal moves them back up. So it's like a B+ for me. But as a whole, I like that they're going in. I like that they're buying. They see their opening, and they're absolutely taking it, especially with the Liam Hicks deal. I absolutely love that move. Next up, we're going to have the Boston Red Sox. I'm giving them a B+. This is interesting because the first deal that they made was the Curtis Mead Conley Early trade. Oh, and I didn't say this before. The Conley Early Curtis Mead deal is the one that I qualified as like the start of the trade deadline for me. So all these trades are post that deal. And that deal would have been a lot more intriguing if Curtis Mead stayed healthy. So it's like, in the aspect of fairness, I'll stay fair. And before the injury, I would have been very happy with the deal. You gave up a young, controllable pitcher for a young, controllable hitter. 1 for 1, just straight up. I know that Conley Early, a lot of the advanced stats didn't love him and thought he was due for regression. Curtis Mead, though, I was afraid that he's a flash in the pan, quite frankly. Like, I would have given that move a B. And then they were able to get Eli White, an outfielder from the Braves, who's put up 1.1 WAR this season and still has a couple of years of team control. I like that move for them. They got Eric Miller, who is a 2.73 ERA with a lot of team control still, from the San Francisco Giants, along with now their 14th ranked prospect in exchange for Marcelo Meyer. I don't know how I feel about the move. I still believe in Marcelo Meyer's talent, but he's really struggled this season. He's had injuries. So if the Red Sox were like, alrighty, we're cutting our losses right now, I totally get it. I'm not personally the biggest fan, but right now, it's making the team better. And right now, you're going out to win. Marcelo Meyer isn't helping you win. A guy like Eric Miller will help you win. Their bullpen is like absurd right now. And then finally, obviously, they made the Adley deal. Flip side of the coin from the Orioles, I like this move for the Red Sox. I know that they gave up a lot, but you're going to win. Catcher is where they struggled the most. I know that they were in talks for Hunter Goodman. I never thought that that was going to happen, personally. And in exchange, you got a guy who has the potential to be one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in all of baseball. And he still has another year of team control. He's good. He's a good ball player. Yes, he's struggled with injuries. Yes, he's been up and down. But right now, you needed a good hitting catcher, and you got one. Big fan of that move for them. So all encompassing, I'm giving them a B+. Next up, we have the New York Yankees. I'm giving them a D+. And I will say, in all fairness, I didn't listen to a ton of things or anything like that for teams as a whole. I wanted to be my own reactions. However, I did listen to Talking Yanks just kind of when I was like researching other stuff, and their opinion on the trade deadline did help shape my opinion on this. So I want to get that out there in the effort of being transparent. I was a little bit higher on it until I listened to all the things that John Boy had to say, and now I'm pretty against it. So first of all, you gave up Camilo Duval in exchange for a couple of prospects, one of whom is now your 26th ranked prospect. He needed to get out of New York, quite frankly. He was an absolute fail to Sarah Behrman, so I get that. And then you got Elliot Ramos from the Giants in exchange for two prospects who are going to be in their top 20 or top 30, one of whom is their 9th ranked prospect now. I get that. And then Luis Garcia Jr., who still has an extra year team control. Oh, and Elliot Ramos has a ton of team control right now. In exchange for 3 prospects who are going to be in the Nationals top 30, and also Jake Bird. I like that they added bats. However, Luis Garcia Jr. just feels like a redundancy of Ben Rice. And once guys get healthy, where is everybody going? Cody Bellinger, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. Where is everyone going? If your outfield is going to be Bellinger, Trent Grisham, and Aaron Judge, obviously, where's Elliot Ramos going to play? Is he going to play DH? Is he going to play the 4th outfielder? What's it going to be? Okay, well, if he's going to be DH, where's Giancarlo Stanton going to be playing? Okay, and then Luis Garcia Jr., he's playing first base. He would be platooning with Goldie. Okay, I get that. Then is Ben Rice going to be your full-time DH? Okay, well then when Giancarlo Stanton comes back, where is he going to go? Are you moving Ben Rice back to first base? In which case, are you going to be platooning Luis Garcia Jr. and Paul Goldschmidt? Like, there's just a lot of moves that don't make a lot of sense when you're looking at the full lineup construction. And then the final thing is, you gave up a lot of relievers. And you need relievers. At the end of the day, I know Camilo Duval hasn't been good for them. I know Jake Bird has been awful for them. Innings are innings. And also they gave up Giovanni Cruz, who just started pitching for them in terms of MLB innings. Innings are innings. Where are they going to be coming from? You're not going to be able to have Paul Blackburn pitch every day. You're not going to be able to have Brent Hendrick pitch every day. You're not going to be able to have David Bednar pitch every single day. Where are the innings coming from, especially in the postseason? Are you going to move one of your starters into the bullpen? What's the plan? So, in a vacuum, I like the moves. In composite, I despise the moves because, like I said, where are you putting Elliot Ramos? Where are you putting Luis Garcia Jr. once everyone gets healthy? If I was looking at the team right now and it was this is going to be your team in October and you're adding these pieces, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I would have liked another reliever, but we didn't get it. Once you're adding back 3 players who all need to be in your starting lineup, it's just what is going on? I feel that there's going to be a lot of platooning going on. I don't love that in terms of consistency for a team, which I just think hurts the team. So I'm giving them a D+, not very happy with their moves all encompassing. But that is all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave your comments about what you think I got wrong. Definitely leave your comments about what you think I got right. But for sure, leave your comments on your own team. You know the most about your team. If you're looking at the Twins and you're like, no, we need to go in right now. We need to buy. This was an A+ deadline. Please let me know. I will have a legit conversation with you. If you feel I didn't really like the Guardians deadline, I don't think that they can go in, please let me know. Any of those things. Like I said, you are the expert on your team. I know the most about the Brewers. I listen to the Yankees podcast to try to know more about the Yankees. So please let me know about your team for sure. But that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things, and I'm out. Peace.